Good afternoon, Mr. Jeff and everyone. Today we are Group 1. We're presenting on our project Diversity of Inclusion at the Workplace. My name is Izzat and I'll be presenting on the group information as well as the project introduction. I will also be presenting on the part 2 of the matrix system. For part 1, we have Fawaz presenting on the company strategy and we have Oyu and Mervin presenting on the company initiatives. For part 2, we have Lukman presenting on the element of diversity that we have chosen, and for the strategy for success, Sangche and Javier will be presenting that. So the company that we have chosen will be Coca-Cola, which was founded in Atlanta, Georgia on 1892. It has started from a small factory and business which has now expanded to all over the world. And now it is a multinational corporation which is known by everyone. And ever since, it has been hiring many various employees from different culture and identity and has been wanting to improve on diversity in the company ever since.
The strategy that the Coca-Cola Company has adapted is diversity, equity, and inclusion. They reinforce these values as they believe that these are the values that build the foundation of what made Coca-Cola the successful company that we all see today. In the past, Coca-Cola has also stood up for and celebrated these values across the world. For example, from having the first female to attain a leadership position in a major corporation in 1934, which is an amazing feat because not a lot of people believe that women should be responsible enough to hold a leadership position in a big company. Not only that, they also celebrated diversity through their creative ads throughout the internet and also YouTube. However, with all of these efforts that they have been doing, they felt like they weren't doing enough. So they upgraded their strategy by including 3 long-term ambitions, which are mirroring the market, equity for all, and inclusivity. Having these ambitions, they believe that they will be able to achieve a greater global reach, stronger impact, and a deeper focus on equity. So these are the long-term ambitions. Firstly, it will be mirroring the markets and inclusivity. So the aim of this ambition is to increase the number of women and minorities in leadership positions so that they would be able to achieve their goal of filling at least half of the leadership positions in their company with minorities and women. And this is also most likely for in the US to have race and ethnicity representation of their company to reflect national census data at all levels. Secondly, it is equity for all. So with this ambition, they aim to review their business, human rights, and employment policies to help them practice eliminating biasness and inequities in their company. So by mirroring the markets that they serve, it creates a more inclusive and equitable culture in their company. It also provides one consistent framework for their markets around the world to shape their plans on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
The first strategy that Coca-Cola implemented is to create an inclusive environment in their workplace. By creating such an environment, it allows the workforce to foster a sense of allyship, belonging, and community, while also providing opportunities to employees of different communities to have their voices heard, not just within the firm, but across the Coca-Cola system. Being able to have varying voices from different communities will enable Coca-Cola to highlight the different social and societal concerns that different communities are facing before coming up with actions and plans to ease these concerns. These actions will then be feedback upon through an inclusion perspective. To achieve their long-term strategy, the Employee Inclusion Network initiative was started and is an integral part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy for the Coca-Cola Company. It is employee-led and company-recognized. Part of the inclusion includes the interview panels being made up of diverse colleagues from different backgrounds. An example would be in a group of 4 interviewer setting, each interviewer would be of one unique background, one Hispanic, one Asian, one black, one white. This is done to reduce the biasness or favorable treatment towards certain races during interviews, while also ensuring that the sourcing of these potential applicants from the applicant pool are of varying backgrounds before making hiring decisions. Lastly, They are also hiring a full-time position whose job scope is solely focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion education for the rest of the workforce. Now, let us take a look at the matrix set by the Coca-Cola Company in the 21st century. By the end of 2030, the Coca-Cola aims to achieve a representation of 13% Blacks, 18% Hispanics, and 6% Asians in their employee population representation, which also includes the management level. Looking at the results proudly stated on their webpage, as of December 31st, 2020, the Blacks make up 19% of the employee population, the Hispanics make up 14% of the employee population, and the Asians make up 7% of the employee population. As seen from the results and the matrix set by Coca-Cola, we can see that they had already surpassed their goal of Black and Asian employee representation by 6% and 1% respectively, which is a good indication that their strategy and initiative is working well. Even though the Hispanic employee population representation is still for 4% of the target goal, they still have another 8 years from 2020 to 2030 to achieve this goal.
The second strategy Coca-Cola have in place is the Global Women's Leadership Council. The council aims to promote gender equality internally and empower female employees. The council is ran by a mixed-gender team. The inclusion of men brought about valuable insights for the initiatives and campaigns. It is also a way to show diversity in the team. The council shapes initiatives to develop and advance female talents. A few examples of such initiatives is the Assessment and Development Program and the Women and Leadership Program. The council also oversees the numerous regional branches and work with them to create customized initiatives tailored for their needs. The initiative I'll be sharing is the Women and Leadership Program. This program aims to equip female employees with the necessary skills to shoulder a leadership role. Under this program, female employees undergo leadership and communication workshops. Female employees in these workshops are also paired with a senior female leader for mentorship. This aims to help them better understand what it takes to be like in a higher position, and they are also able to learn from their respective mentors. Lastly, there's also an assessment program in place. This assessment program is used to promote female employees that are ready for a higher position in the company. The Coca-Cola Company aims for 50% of its leadership position to be held by women by the year 2030. This strategy in place has tremendously improved the gender equality within the company. As of 2020, women accounts for 42% of the total leadership roles in the company, which is 15% more than that of in 2008. Women represents around 35% of Coke's senior leadership roles. This percentage of senior leadership roles held by female has risen more than 10% since 2008.
As a diversity officer in this company, I would like to propose that the element of diversity we should focus on is generation. Senior Minister of State, Dr. General Puthucheary noted that there's increasing divisions between young and old here in Singapore. Take for example the millennials. They are being neglected, left with no opinion here. A gap between the millennials and older generations is occurring, causing a polarizing gap between the generations. This is in part due to the generation differences between their culture and opinions. For example, the boomers have a strong work ethic and are independent, whereas the millennials are more tech savvy and are being more open to change. These are some of examples of the generational differences. Let's take a look at some of the causes. In a survey conducted on the public opinions of 19 to 36-year-old, found that the public view them as impatient, overconfident, and materialistic. This poses a problem as the younger generation will face this if they were to interact with someone belonging to an older generation. In another survey conducted on the public opinions of generation discipline, the public view 15% of the millennials being disciplined compared to the 84% of the boomers. These numbers are quite reliable as the millennials see only 20% of themselves being disciplined. This is an example of a generational differences. Let's take a look at some of the possible benefits that we can gain if we implement some of these measures. First, reverse mentoring will help in bridging the gap between the generations. This in turn will allow the exchange of knowledge and skills between them, allowing the generations to focus more on the strengths and minimize the impacts of their weaknesses. Diversity training will help educate the employees the importance of diversity within the workforce. This in turn will entice more potential employees in joining the company. Lastly, both of these will prevent the stereotypes and prejudice to occur within the company. Some of these measures have been implemented in Johnson & Johnson's and Accenture.
So these are our success goals for the company. So by 2025, we would like to have 75% of the employees in the company to be aware of the age gap that is happening in these many different workplaces in Singapore. And also by the end of 2023, we'd like to ensure that 90% of the company feel that they are inclusive despite of their generation, either they are baby boomers from Gen Z or even Gen Y. So will be our success goals. So I researched some diversity matrix, and these are some of it. So first was recruitment, selection, and promotion matrix system. Basically, we will observe two groups of employees and we will analyze to see who gets promoted and who gets hired. And then on, we see the statistics and how it differs from each other. For the second metric, it will be the employee satisfaction and engagement. So same thing as the first matrix system, we will observe the two groups, we will monitor two groups and see who is more satisfied in the workplace and who is engaging with who. And from then on, we will gather statistics and that's how we will get the matrix. So after much discussion, the matrix system that we have decided to go with will be the employment satisfaction and engagement. So basically, we'll be having two separate groups, one of different generation, one maybe be baby boomer and one will maybe be Gen Z, and we'll see which group will be more satisfied and which group whether are they interacting with one another. And from then on, we will compare the statistics, and that's how we will get our matrix.
A strategy for success that our group came up with would be to establish a cohesive and productive working environment between the younger and older generations. This allows everybody to work together harmoniously in the workforce. There are two initiatives that our group has chosen, and I'll be talking about the first initiative. One initiative our group has chosen would be the reverse mentoring program. Reverse mentoring had seen significant results by the company Johnson & Johnson when this program was implemented in the workforce, with over 88% of the participants finding this highly useful. How it works? It pairs one younger generation employee with another older generation employee, and by working together, they can help to nurture each other by sharing their skill sets and knowledge with one another. Since the younger generations have just graduated from education, they can share their skill sets and help to educate the older generations by sharing their critical knowledge on technology operation and software, as they tend to be more up to date with computer suites. In contrast, the older generation can share their experience on how to complete a specific task in a shorter period of time, since they have been working in the company far way longer than the younger generations have. With this initiative, I believe that we can work together towards our strategy. So, how can this initiative be implemented into the workforce? Firstly, each group should only consist of one younger generation and one older generation employee only. They should be of equal or similar status in the company so that there isn't any hierarchy involved between the both of them. Secondly, both parties should be able to take constructive criticism by one another and not be offended when the other party points out their mistakes. This is especially when the older generations tend to get more offended easily when someone younger points out their mistakes. Lastly, the reverse mentoring program should not be held for more than 6 months, as they should have the option to pair up with another employee when the time is up. This allows the newly joined younger generation employees to mingle and get to know more of his or her employees. Some of the potential results and benefits of this initiative is that both parties are able to gain new knowledge from one another. With the new knowledge gained, they can also use this as an opportunity to polish their skills and be well equipped in the future to be able to pass on even more knowledge to their future juniors. If a company is well known for their healthy workforce, there will be even more talents looking to join the company as well. And lastly, with this initiative, we hope to be able to clear the prejudice and stereotypes of what an individual has with the other generation. For example, the younger generations will always think that the older generations do not want to learn from them because they think that they know it all. While the older generations will think that the younger generations are usually very rude to them.
The other initiative that can be taken is diversity training. The main objective of diversity training is to ensure that employees are aware of the benefits from having a diverse workplace. And to accomplish that, steps like workshops and training can be provided. However, standard diversity programs should be avoided as much as possible, as statistics from Harvard Business Review has proven that usual diversity programs often yield poor returns. Therefore, we believe that it is necessary to have a more targeted approach, like what Accenture, a company with market-leading diversity methods, has done. Accenture combines industry expertise and advanced analytics. They work closely with clients to define their strategy using a results-oriented approach, which definitely suits employees more than a generic training program that is so-called made for everyone. Since training is results-based, the company can decide to use whatever works well and discard methods that don't, sort of like trial and error. Moreover, they also provide leadership alignment workshops, as well as personalized learning experiences for their employees. By making the training personalized, it ensures that it is targeted for that particular employee. What works well for me might not work well for another. Therefore, a more personalized approach will definitely increase the effectiveness of the training. The results that we hope to achieve from this are as follows. Firstly, by sending our employees to such workshops, we hope to equip them with skills that they will need for the future workforce, wherever it may be. This makes it so that diversity problems can no longer happen to them. Secondly, we hope to increase employment rate within a company. Since 67% of job seekers consider workplace diversity an important factor when considering employment opportunities, and more than 50% of current employees want their workplace to do more to increase diversity, we wish that our efforts will allow more people to join the company that applies such relevant strategies. Lastly, and the end goal, of course, is to clear prejudice and stereotype of each generation by appending the power dynamic of the traditional mentoring and training model to create a sense of belonging which nurtures stronger connection between colleagues.
In conclusion, as a group, we have learned a lot from this module, managing diversity at work, varying from the multiple identity to how some workplaces in Singapore does not actually focus on diversity, and how we can act to ensure that there's diversity in the workplace. And we feel that in the future, we will definitely apply whatever we have learned in this module. Thank you.